Now, a love of the beautiful game has inspired some filmmakers to turn their passion into silver screen stories. With me now and every Friday throughout the World Cup, director of a new documentary, Football Fables, Baff Akoto. Producer Salman Laub, who was also with us last week, is sadly not well, but Baff is here for his take with the action this week. It started off a bit boring, it got a bit better. What did you make of this week's play?
I thoroughly enjoyed the week. There's been a lot of talk about the World Cup getting off to a slow start, but I just think the first round matches are always a bit slow, not many goals. I think this week was the lowest scoring first round for a while in any World Cup. But, you know, I think you look at Brazil playing and Maicon's goal was insane. I think that was really the spark that really...
There was a turnaround, wasn't there, from boring to exciting. Was that it for you?
Yeah. I mean, Maicon's goal was nuts. I think when you look into the first, second round matches that we've seen, there's been a real kind of ramp up in the stakes, and there's a lot of teams that realise that they need to go out and perform. So, and you've seen that with the Serbia game today, the England match, you know, a lot of tension. The England match was boring, wasn't it? I don't think so. There's so much riding on it. How can you call it boring, you know?
I don't know. It didn't keep my attention all that much. Highlights for you, then. I know you support Ghana, don't you, right?
Yeah.
So you're interested in that continent's teams, particularly?
Well, it's an African World Cup, you know, and Ghana are the only team that won from the continent this week. I think the way they played the game was really masterful. They controlled the midfield. You know, in Serbia, we saw today, Serbia are not a bad team. They've just beaten Germany. You know, so I think Ghana doing well and winning was good for the World Cup, good for Ghana, good for football.
Are they going to go all the way?
I hope so. I hope so. Let's see. Tomorrow we've got Australia. I've got a few Australian friends who are in town.
It's amazing how anything really goes in this World Cup,
well,
it seems.
That's the thing. Right now, we're in the middle of the second round. It's too close to call. You know, apart from maybe Argentina look really solid, and they'll probably walk through. But apart from that, I defy anyone to call any of the groups right now.
OK, I want to ask you about Honduras, because they've got this pretty special lineup, haven't they? I mean, this is pretty extraordinary.
The Palacios brothers, I think most people watching will know the Tottenham brother, you know. But they've trumped the Nevilles and the Charltons.
Three brothers, right?
And they've got three brothers in their World Cup squad.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. It's a great story. Good. I mean, great for the family. Imagine being in their house right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Bit tense watching those games.
Yeah.
Baff, now, obviously, every week you know, it gets easier towards as we go through this process, but you pick your sort of favourites, your winners out of this World Cup. Bit of a turnaround from last week, but what have you got as your latest predictions?
It's not a turnaround. It's just that, all right, Brazil, my money still, I can't see beyond Brazil. You know, a lot of the naysayers and a lot of the experts that are tipping Spain, but I don't think Spain have got the psychology right to go and win a World Cup. Euros are different, but, I mean, you saw they choked. So I think Brazil still have to be tipped. But in terms of the goal scoring, you know, Higuain yesterday went out and got a hat-trick.
Yeah.
You know, traditionally, if you got about 6 odd goals, that's the golden boot. So he's got half his tally. I see Argentina doing really well, and so he'll pick up a few more goals. But he's got to be front runner now to be golden boot scorer. OK, I
want to ask you about Maradona as well, because he always makes headlines, but not always for football. He's doing it again. Tell me what he's been saying this week.
Diego's great. I mean, he had a bit of pressure too, because their 1-0 win over Nigeria wasn't what the media in Argentina were expecting. So he got the screws turned a little bit, and he started, you know, slinging mud at Platini, and he got riled up by the press and was talking about Pele going back to the museum.
What could he say about Pele?
Well, you know, him and Pele, they share the honours for the player of the century.
Yeah.
You know, for last century. And, I mean, in my opinion, Maradona's the best player we've ever had. And I think he shares that opinion. So he gets a bit prickly whenever anyone compares him to Pele. So he's running his mouth off a bit. But I gather, since the demolition of the Koreans, he's been a bit more jovial and a bit more happy. But he's great. You see him on the touchline.
We love the headlines.
With his puppy chulo pimp suit. All he needs is a cigar. You know, Maradona's good value.
We're looking ahead now. You know, it is getting more interesting now. So, what are you getting excited or nervous about?
I mentioned, you know, I've got 2 friends over from Australia, and we're playing Ghana. You know, they're playing Ghana tomorrow. So immediately, I'm looking at Ghana, Australia, and then Ghana v Germany. I think Ghana are in a really prime spot to go and beat the Australians, get 6 points, and be the first African team into the next round.
And that'll make you happy when your mates...
It'll be good for the World Cup. It's an African World Cup. It's got to be good. And Brazil, of course. You love watching Brazil play.
Yeah, of course. Everyone seems to like Brazil, don't they? Let's talk quickly about the England games. We've just had that result in. It was pretty, you know, well, I said boring. You said it wasn't. Talk us through what you were thinking as you watched that sort of unfold.
I was thinking... The game needed a goal. England needed a goal to relax and go out and play. You know, Capella's been taking a lot of stick for his selection. You know, he's the manager. He's a solid, tried and tested manager. I just think he needs to play Joe Cole. He was the best player at the last World Cup for England, and I can't believe he's not had a minute of playing time. Simple. I think Joe Cole's the key to... You know, Gareth Barry's back. Joe Cole, bring him on. Push Gerrard up front, and you'll see things happening with Rooney and, you know, all the usual match-winning suspects for England.
Everyone's sort of criticising Capello in London.
I don't want to, because I think he's a great manager, but, yeah, Joe Cole, for me, needs to be playing. Yeah.
All right, Baff, thank you so much. See you next Friday.